And you mentioned obviously that's how you became a sort of session musician through the orchestra. And yeah, would you say that's kind of your best route into being a session musician through the orchestra?
What if somebody wanted to be a session musician
Yeah,
today?
or anywhere. Or was that just your
Well,
particular route?
it's honestly, it's so different to. I mean, I'm not that old. I'll be 44 in a couple of weeks. But
Happy birthday.
thank you. It's so different now. You know, like you've got the internet, so obviously here we are on the internet.
Hello.
Which you know, now there's the whole sort of marketing yourself on social media, that kind of thing, which doesn't really appeal to me. I try it because I feel like I should do, and then I don't really get anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I feel embarrassed that I've put something on there, and then like I don't get it. I'm not like cut out for it. Like feel, oh, am I being attention seeking? Should I do it? Am I supposed to? You know, it's just you know, like a bit of a nightmare. So it was very different then. It was kind of like you just answered the phone. You know, and also with the advent of the internet has come home recording, and also I don't want this to come out the wrong way, but I don't think you have to be as good in the studio now, because you can do a million takes. You know, if you do a thing on Instagram or like a session from home, you can take as long as you want. Where it's like it used to be, and people give you the music in advance. It used to be. I remember one of my first sessions. I turned up as did Stars in Their Eyes, first sort of TV session. I must have been about 22. I did not sleep the night before. I didn't know what the music was. It was really old school. When you went in there, it was still tape as well. It was one of the. I only did a few sessions to tape, but that was one of them. And it was Ray Monk, who was a really well-known sort of TV MD at the time. We didn't know what we were going to be playing. You had to be really good. You had to do things. We did 1 or 2 take of everything, you know, and you just had to be really good, you know. And that's still around, but I think is an element of a lost art there to an extent. You know, it does still happen, but not as much. I don't think. So the whole route into being, I mean, I will use the phrase session musician loosely as well, because it doesn't really exist. You know, it's not like you can just be a studio musician. You know, I think that the phrase session musician has become sort of interchangeable with the phrase freelance musician. You know, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, because I love listening to people's perceptions of stuff, and obviously you doing it for over 20 years now, you've seen that kind of change, haven't you, of being that incredible musician which you are to something like that's a bit more loose, like you said. It's
I mean, I think the technical standard of guitar, I mean, I've seen it with I teach at the Guildhall and ICMP as well. Some of my students are way better than I was at their age. So on one hand, but because of the internet, the access to information is everything is so readily available. You know, it's like, so you get young players who are really, really incredible. But at the same time, I'm not sure that, I don't think the groove hasn't got any better. You know what I mean? Like the vibe and the groove and stuff like that, like intangible elements of music, I don't think got better. But I think that there's a lot of young players with incredible technique around and knowledge, you know, which wasn't necessarily there before. So I guess there's upsides and downsides to the change, the way things have changed. But, you know, I'm not going to go on a rant about, you know, sort of Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of the people who are held in esteem now, if you actually put them in the studio or got them to play a song from start to finish, they can't. Yeah, they can't. Yeah, they're just sort of like gear salesmen almost on the internet. You know, they're you know. Yeah, it doesn't do it for me.
It does. Because that's why I feel the same way. Where that kind of talent, in a way, has gone, hasn't it? Where real musicians, real artists, it's like at a loss now, isn't it? Where people it seems like anyone could be famous now, or literally anyone with literally zero talent could just make it now, which is and like you said, with that kind of Instagram thing now, where everything's so polished and perfect when clearly it's not.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously you've been doing it for your whole life pretty much, and you've seen where real talent comes from, and to go from that to what it is now must be in a way heartbreaking for you as well.
Well, again, I think I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I think there's two sides to it. In as much as the standard is at once very high, and at the same time, in certain areas, it's got lower. You know, it's kind of weird. In as much as, you know, like if you take, for example, I don't want to be like a moaning old bloke about the internet. I'm going to try and not do that, but I'm going to. say for example, like signature instruments. I mean, now, you know, they're dime a dozen really, and you just have to be a bloke off the internet who's got some followers on Instagram. You don't have to have ever done a gig. You know, it's weird. Whereas when I started, basically, I think Eric Clapton had one. You know, he's done the odd gig. You know, like Richie Sambora. I'm talking about guitars. Richie Sambora, Yngwie Malmsteen. You know, like serious, legendary. I mean, whatever you think of their playing as individuals, they were big individual. They were big, big names. You know. But now you just get some kid off Instagram who's got 1 million followers, and they'll give him a signature guitar just because it's shift units.
Well, there
to
we
me,
go.
that doesn't really do it for me. But it's business. I understand that.
Yeah,
you know, it's just.
It's like, exactly. I know. Me too. It's like I remember a little while ago where these sort of we call them. It's termed that influencers, where they got
they can fuck off.
They can fuck right off.
Can I say that? Are we allowed to swear?
You can say whatever you want. I don't care. Okay. Unfiltered, whatever. Yeah, that's right. But honestly, I feel the same way. Like, they think that going on holiday is part of the work. Are you taking the piss? I mean. You're like, it's part of my work. Go on holiday to take pictures. They can fuck right off. How does that work? But I know what you mean. Though it's like people with real talent aren't getting through now. But like you said, a guy with 1 million followers will get a record contract or get his own signature guitar. Like you said, it's. Do you feel like this is kind of diluted music in a way? Do you feel? As a whole kind of art, like you don't need to be this elite musician or artist or singer to get there, and see that anyone can make it now.
Well, I guess, I mean, again, it comes back to that idea of it being a double-edged sword, in as much as there's probably people who are completely brilliant who have had exposure which they might not have got, you know. So there's also good things.
Definitely, yeah.
But, you know, I mean, there's the, you know, like you can listen to anything. You just go on the internet. On this computer before me is like a world of information. So that's brilliant, you know, for a fan as well, a fan of music like Spotify or I'm on Tidal or, you know, something like that for a fan is an incredible resource. And YouTube, definitely. I mean, it's completely brilliant. But at the same time, you know, say if you've written a song, I mean, we've all seen the things in the news about songwriters and their royalties and what's happening there. So are you encouraging the next generation of you know, the next Lennon and McCartney or whoever to become songwriters? Because, you know, they may as well go and work in McDonald's, you know. I mean, it used to be like you know, you'd get paid in accordance with your merit, but now you don't. So there's pluses and minuses, you know. But I guess I've thought about this a lot actually, and I'm conscious of that I'm probably the wrong generation to make a decent judgment about it, but I don't know, but my personal jury is still out, to be honest. You know, I don't like social media, but I feel like I should do it. But at the same time, you know, like my hobby, for example, is motorbikes. So I sort of follow lots of motorbike accounts on social media, and I love that. It's just the music bit that pisses me off. You know, so,
yeah, there we go. But being a session musician now, I mean, how difficult is it really to be a session musician? With your experience, is it?
Well, it's impossible. You can't be. No one makes a living just out of studio stuff anymore. It doesn't happen. You know, so it's not difficult. It's not non-existent. You know, I mean, you can be someone who does a decent amount of sessions, but there's a lot of things which have to come into play there after you've got the skills. So there's first of all the musical skills, and then there's your personality. Do you have? You have to concentrate a lot. You can't. I've never met anyone stupid that does that for a living. You know, you have to be on the case. You have to be able to run what's essentially a small business. You have to have some degree of people skills, and you have to be you know, musically and socially versatile, really. So there are a lot of hoops to jump through. But yeah, I think the key to the whole making a living in the music industry these days is to be as versatile as possible. You have to do a lot of things. You can't just go, I'm a session musician, because no, you're not.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't exist. You know, you are free. I'm a freelance musician. You know, I'm just a jobbing guitar player. That's how I would describe myself. You know, like it might have been nice if it, you know, if it was 1985, I could probably say, yeah, I'm a studio musician. But
Yeah,
no,
not anymore.
I play in studios. You know, lucky enough to have a few of those kind of contacts and those kind of gigs. But I'm a jobbing guitar player, like the next jobbing guitar player. You know.
There we go.